Day one, triathlon training, and just shifting to something that's a little bit more grueling, challenging, requires training in order to do, which is a half Ironman, 70.3 miles. I did it last year. I had a blast doing it in Colorado. This year, it'll be in Augusta, Georgia. Totally different situation. Swimming in a river. Now it's time to start training. All right, Outer Banks Olympic Triathlon is done. It felt really good to be out there. The swim in the ocean, I didn't anticipate a swim being 1,500 meters for an Olympic triathlon. In my mind, I thought the Olympic triathlon was like half of an Ironman 70.2. The Ironman 70.2 has a 1,900 meter swim, something like that. Well, today's triathlon had a 1,500 meter swim in the ocean, so that was probably the best part, was being able to practice a really full swim. So swimming has never been a part of my background, really. And it really wasn't until I qualified for the CrossFit Games in 2018 where I knew they were gonna have an open water swim. They almost always have an open water swim at the Games. So I was living in an apartment at the time, so I did a lot of swims in that pool, trying to build up my capacity. And then I went for an open water swim, thinking it can't be that hard. So I went out to Boulder Reservoir, and 3, 2, 1, go. There's 100 bodies doing a 750 meter open water swim. And at about the 50 or 100 meter mark, I just got spooked. I was like, I can't breathe. I can't catch my breath. And so I'm treading water and I'm really nervous. I'm looking for like lifeboats, and there's tons of lifeboats, and I try to swim again, get my head in the water, try to swim again. I cannot breathe. So I'm treading water. I wave down a jet ski. The jet ski guy's like, he's like, oh man, this is a tough water. It was a little bit choppy. And he's like, do you want to just hang out here for a minute? I was like, no, dude, you got it. There's no way I can do this swim. There's no way. So he takes me in, and I'm really discouraged. I remember thinking, like, how in God's name in 1 month am I going to do a swim at the CrossFit Games? And I can't even go 100 meters in this water. Really discouraged, really upset, really nervous. The following week, I found a lake a little bit closer to home that had a little swimming area. So I could actually go out and open water swim. It was probably 100 meters out and 100 meters back in this little swimming area, but I went there 4 or 5 days the following week to try to figure out how to get comfortable in the water. I tried, doing, some back floating. I just couldn't get comfortable unless I just settled in. Once I got 100 or 200 meters into a swim, I felt okay. I felt comfortable enough to continue. And so I practiced in that open water and practice. I go back to that Boulder Reservoir swimming event the next week, and I complete 750 meters, and I was ecstatic. I was through the roof. You had an option of running a 5K after that. I did, and I PR'd my 5K. I was just so excited. Then the next week, went back for that Boulder swim. I've got 2 weeks before the CrossFit Games, and I fail on the swim. I can't get through it. I have to hold onto a paddleboard 3 or 4 times. I just cannot settle down. So I go back to the little lake the next week, swim and swim and swim. The next week, go back to Boulder Reservoir. I finish the swim. I feel good. So fast forward, I go to the Games in 2018, and sure enough, there is a 500 meter swim announced. I'm nervous, but I feel okay. So I get out on that swim, and you have to run through the water to get into the deeper part of the water on that swim, and I just settle into it, stay calm. I have no idea really where everyone is at. It's just a mixed bag. It's hard to tell in the water where everyone's at, but I get out of the water, I cross the finish line, and I'm talking to this judge. I was like, man, do you know what place I got? And he's like, you got 3rd. And I was like, oh my God. And I couldn't swim a month ago. That was awesome. It felt really, really, really good. Now, that's not the end of the story. It's not like I'm just been an amazing swimmer. Last year at the Games, I felt really prepared, and there was an open water swim. And at the turn, at the 250 meter mark, I got spooked and I couldn't get my head back in the water. It was not my best event. I was pretty disappointed and pretty worried that was gonna cost me the Games. I was really nervous. So this year I swam and I swam and I swam and I was ready. And there was a pool swim. That was just a huge relief. Having just completed an Olympic triathlon, now I think of it as fairly refreshing. I had a little panic in there, if I bumped into somebody or someone bumped into me, or my watch almost fell off at one point, but I just settle in and just like, it's okay. I'm gonna take care of this little problem, fix my direction, fix my watch, and just move on. I feel like I'm ready for next week. Next week will basically be a little bit longer swim and double all the distances. So it'll be really challenging. I don't feel like death today. After the triathlon last year, the 70.3, I felt like death. I will likely feel like death after the triathlon next Saturday, but for right now, I feel good. I feel hungry. Let's see, I'm 62,000 meters into an 80,000 meter bike this afternoon, and I'm on my second shaker bottle of Element, just pouring sweat. So I've got to replenish my electrolytes. It says 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium, which is exactly what my body needs, and it tastes good. I love it. This should help me get through the next 18,000 meters. I'll be bringing a ton of packets of this to the triathlon, and we'll plan out when and how I'm gonna rehydrate through that. Obviously after the swim, multiple times while I'm biking, multiple times while I'm running, I'll probably have this pocket that just has these in it that I can add to waters on the course. It's gonna be a lifesaver.
Right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/Jason Grubb. This deal is only available through my link. You must go to drinklmnt.com/Jason Grubb.
I wasn't able to bring my phone with me during the IRONMAN 70.3. It's not allowed, so I wasn't able to get any footage, but they did take quite a few pictures. What I wanted to share briefly was how I trained for this triathlon as a competitive CrossFit athlete. And while my focus last year was just completing the triathlon, this year my focus was on fueling appropriately and hydrating throughout the entire race. So to train for this triathlon, I started the week after the CrossFit Games and had 7 weeks to take a break from daily CrossFit training and focus more on endurance training for the triathlon. I combined Mayhem bodybuilding with an 8-week triathlon program that I found online. I'll share the triathlon program that I followed in a link below. And the reason that I did Mayhem bodybuilding in combination with endurance training is that I wanted to maintain my overall strength while incorporating 2 to 3 hours of endurance training multiple times a week. Mayhem bodybuilding has deadlifts, squats, lots of upper body strict work, which was a really great option for me during the off season to give my body a break and allow me to have the time to do long endurance workouts in the pool, on a bike, and on the road. My longest bike ride during my training was an 80K bike ride on the Concept 2 bike with the purpose of just giving my body the chance to be in a saddle for 3 hours, which is how long I'm approximately in the saddle when I'm on the triathlon. My longest run was 10 miles, but I did do a lot of 7, 8, 9 mile runs in order to build up those small sinewy joint muscles that are necessary for that length of running. And my longest swim was the 1,500 meter swim at the Olympic triathlon the week before the Ironman triathlon. My overall goal was to have my body ready for the volume that was going to come at me on the day of the triathlon. Again, I'm not trying to win the triathlon, not yet.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
That's not my career, that's not what I'm doing right now, but I wanted to do better than I did last year, where my goal was just to finish without dying. And in order to do better, not only was training important, but so was fueling and hydration. Last year, I thought I could get through the entire triathlon by eating bananas and gummy bears. And if you're an endurance athlete, you know that that doesn't work. Any kind of fruit on the day of a triathlon just has way too much fiber. We're really not looking for fiber on the day of a 6-hour race. So what I did focus on was getting 300 to 400 calories per hour of the race in my body, primarily through gels and liquids, in order for my body not to have to work really hard to break down those elements. So after the swim, every 20 to 30 minutes, I was trying to get in around 200 calories, either through a gel or through a drink like a Gatorade Endurance, which was at every hydration station, or Element with sugar, which I had in shaker bottles on my bike and in the transition area. And by paying close attention to the amount of calories I was getting in every hour, I was able to improve my overall time in this race by over 30 minutes from last year. And although I felt a bit like death at the end of this triathlon, it wasn't nearly as awful as it was last year. This year, I was able to eat a full dinner, and the next morning I woke up feeling great. So if you're wondering how quickly I got through this triathlon, I got through the 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike ride, and 13.1 mile run in just under 5 hours and 41 minutes. My swim was just over 32 minutes, my bike ride was right at 3 hours, and my run was just under 2 hours. Overall, it was an absolutely great experience, and I want to make this half Ironman triathlon something that I do every fall. And if you want to do one with me next year, I'm thinking Chattanooga in September of 2023.